Hello and good morning or good afternoon or good day, wherever it is, wherever you are, whatever time you're seeing this video. Hi, I'm Marcus Vasey. I'm going to pull a tarot card for the day. Actually, I've already pulled the tarot card for the day. The tarot card today is the King of Swords, who turned upside down today. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit longer to describe a little bit about the court cards and to understand a little bit about who the court cards really are, because there's always a bit of confusion here. So the court cards are the king, the queen, the the knight and the page in each of the four suits, the four elements, the four aspects of ourselves, and the four different qualities that we can see in the four different ways that we interact with this world. So the king would be the most mature, and the male quality which is most mature. The male qualities are the knight and the king, and the female qualities are more the page and the queen. The female queen and page are always a little bit more receptive, and the masculine is always a little bit more active. It's a little bit more outward going, when the feminine is more inward going in nature. These are two different qualities that you can see, and you can see in different levels of maturity. So the swords is the element air. So this can also signify somebody, quite often it's like a person, and quite often it's an air sign person, like Libra, Aquarius and Gemini. But more than anything else, it's somebody who's mental, somebody who's got a clear mind and got a deeper level of understanding of inner wisdom. There's a high level of intellectuality, rationality. There's a lot of discipline, a lot of focus. This is somebody who's reliable. This is somebody who's morally correct. This is somebody who's got his head screwed on and is super compassionate at the same time. However, this card is upside down, and when the cards are upside down, their meaning changes a little bit. The important, I think that the important thing to realize about the court cards is that while they are quite often somebody on the outside, they are always somebody on the inside. And whenever you're getting a reading for guidance, it's much more important to identify yourself in some way with that card than to say, oh yeah, that's my husband, whatever. This can be completely true that it is your boyfriend, your husband, your brother, your father. Is a very father energy, this one. But at the same time, if there is a reading with this card coming up and you attracted this person into your life, or there's a big lesson to learn with this person, then the stories that this energy holds in that person on the outside of you, it's really important to identify yourself with those stories, with that same energy, to see how you are attracting this person into your life in one way or another, so that you can understand the interaction that you're having with him, because in the end, the interaction that you're having with the outside world is a reflection of the interaction you're having with your own inner world. So, okay, so when the court cards are upside down, like this one is today, and it's always a little bit sadder, it's always a little bit more delicate to talk about, because this strong will and rationality and intellectuality and control that the king manifests in his beautiful levels of high maturity and morality are a little bit twisted in this reading. And when this card is upside down, it could be somebody who's over controlling. It could be somebody who's highly intellectual and not connected to their hearts. It could be somebody who's, excessively brutal with their judgments, and way too strict and stubborn and rigid, and their formality has overcome their personality, and they may even become tyrants and over controlling people in our lives. Yeah. And we may have an aspect of this inside of our own psyche as well. So we may have this over-controlling, much heavily rigid, way too intellectual, not connected to heart aspect of ourselves that we need to look at. We need to recognize that this guy is holding the sword of truth. He's holding it a little bit, if he sees off to one side and he's just mellow about it. Why? Because he knows when he's upright like this, he knows that rigidity of the mind is not the key. He's mature enough to realize that, yes, there is a right and a wrong in this story, but it's not black and white, and we can twist it a little bit in order to, in order to make things more comfortable in our lives sometimes. And he understands, he has a little bit of flexibility, he has compassion, but nevertheless what's true and what is not true he knows very clearly. And there is a little bit of deception and lying and dishonesty about this card when it's upside down. And so it's always a call to look at your own levels of honesty, your own levels of deception, self-deception being the worst form of it, and lying to yourself being the trickiest thing to see, really, and the trickiest thing to transform. Sorry about that, ran out of memory space on my phone. Yes, as I was saying, that this self-deception is the trickiest thing to actually own, to realize that you're lying to yourself in some way, shape or form. This will cause you to attract people who will do the same to you. And it's very easy to blame, to be that victim story again, but it's important to see how we might be lying to ourselves, especially when this card comes up. So this card is definitely showing us somebody who might make us feel inferior, or really feels inferior themselves and is projecting that upon us. This is somebody who doubts their own self. There's a big self-doubt in this king upside down. Even though he knows he's really strong, he still doubts himself. And this is sometimes the know-it-all. This is sometimes who's so intellectually clever that, I know everything, nobody can tell me anything, I know everything about everything, or at least something about everything, and my opinion is more important, and blah, blah, blah. And this person is sometimes, a little bit in your face with his knowledge, and not as open to hear, not as open to listen, not as open to feel, and not as open to be empathic. So this can be ourselves, definitely. When I picked this card, I want to tell you a little story. So I started doing these these videos because I studied the tarot for many years, and then in around about 2003 I started giving sort of professional readings, like charging money for readings, and I carried on doing that for about 10-15 years or so. And I still do a little bit here and there, but then I dropped it and did a bunch of other things as well, and I let go of it, doing readings for people because of many other things taking place in my life. And so this is me getting back into it, and I thought, I really would like to have a website where I can put all the information that I've gathered over the years and put it onto one place. So I started looking up these old books where I'd write down the inspirations and the intuitions that I'd get from the readings that I had given, and I'd always write them down in this little book, and I'd under each card to really, because I started to see how expansive the cards were and how many different meanings you can get from one card. And so I wrote this down, I got the books out, and I started reading it, and I started amalgamating a whole bunch of information, maybe even learning a little bit more as well. And then I thought, look at this is great information to share, I'd love to share it. And even though these videos are not that, I thought, I should share this in a video format too. While I'm doing it, it'll make it more interesting. And so I picked a card a day and started, and this is where it began. Thing is, in these videos you see me picking a card, but in reality I already picked that card. And so I woke up at 4:30 this morning because I picked this card yesterday. It was upside down, and I was going, what does that mean? What lesson does that have for me? And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I did it before I went to bed last night. I thought, I'm going to sleep on this card and see what happens. And so I slept on the card, woke up at 4:30 this morning, couldn't get back to sleep, and I was just thinking, what is that? How am I lying? How am I not telling the truth? And then I realized in these videos I'm showing that I'm picking it straight away and then giving you the information, whereas in reality I picked it maybe an hour ago, looked up some of my notes and gathered a bit of information so that I could deliver something better for you. And this is me lying. This is me not being truthful. And it might not be a big lie, and it was in the with the excuse of me, delivering a better video for you with more information, because my memory's so terrible anyway. And even though there's tons more information that these videos aren't going to share at all with you, because my memory is bad, or because I'm not going to be reading from a list of different definitions of what the card might mean, I'm going to just go with the flow and wrap it all out, as you say. So I realized, even that is a level of dishonesty, and I realized that I'm guilty of being a know-it-all. That runs in our family. Ooh, that's a strong familial trait here. I'm guilty of so many different aspects of this card. This is a father card, and this is a father that might not even be there, like my father, like me in some ways, to my children. And there's a lot to own up to here, and there's a lot to be honest about, and there's a lot to look at, and there's also a deep and sincere need to turn this card back around and really see your strength, really see, because when the king comes up, it's not that all of the energy is twisted. It's not when it's upside down, that is. When the king comes up in general, whether it's the right way up or upside down, it means there is a strong intellectual capacity. There is a strong amount of knowledge and understanding. There is deep clarity inside of somebody. But sometimes that deep clarity is focused on the wrong things. It's twisted, and it might be focused in the intense level of self-doubt and low self-esteem that we all suffer from on some level. And it's time to turn this around. It's time to stand up and be strong. The butterflies behind the king here, these are the butterflies that represent transformation. And this king is all about transformation of your beliefs, transformation of the way we think and the conditionings that we hold, so that we can move more consciously, honestly, and in a more disciplined and focused way through our lives. There you go. I hope you can relate to this card on some level, and if whenever you're getting this reading is the perfect time for you, whenever you're seeing this video is the perfect time. That's the way I like to see it. I'm doing these as daily readings, but what I'd like to promote, the fact that if you see this tomorrow or the next day or wherever it is, you see this in a year's time, because it's just going to be up there floating around the etherical web space, then just take that as a reading for you right here, right now. This is the meaning for you. See if you can relate to it, try and connect with a deeper level of honesty. If this does represent somebody in your life, this upside down person, forgive them, be compassionate towards them, but maybe choose to not hang out with these people so much, because they're in a state of confusion and it can rub off on you, especially if you've mirrored yourself enough to attract this into your life. Maybe it's a time for you to really connect with yourself and ask, hey, what's this all about? What am I calling for here? What's my inner lesson? It's not about trying to change anybody else. It's only about changing yourself. And with that, I wish you the best day, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Enjoy.